All right. So we have our third technical meeting overall. This one will be going over how to do some data viz in R, specifically R Studio, and I'm just going to work under the assumption that you guys have R and that you watched that you either here for the first technical meeting or you watched the first one. So you generally know how to group data and then summarize it and mutate it to add on new columns. Working and filter data. So I'm working under that assumption. So feel free to ask any questions in chat or just unmute yourself or just scream out something. So to start off, like always, we're just going to load in the libraries we'll use. In this case, it's the nflfastR because that's the data we'll use to practice. ggplot2, this is the package that has all of the plotting functions that we'll use, and it's very, very nice. It's one of my favorite things ever. Tidyverse, this has all the data wrangling functions we like. ggimage, this lets you put images in place of on plots, which is very nice, and this lets us put logos, which makes it easier to ID teams. And ggrepel, this you'll see basically if we have a point and we have text and we want text to go to that point, this just makes sure that none of the text overlaps. So to start off, we'll look at some quarterbacks. Oh, and we'll load in the 2020 play-by-play data.
Could you copy and paste those in the chat, please?
Yeah.
That's cool. Sweet. Thank you.
So here's the libraries. And there's something wrong with this. Cannot open compressed file. Okay, so here, I'm just going to copy and paste this one thing from the nflfastR tutorial. And here, I'm going to paste this in here. So to quickly explain what this is doing, this is just looking at all the seasons that we describe up here. So we'll look at, do you guys want to look at one season or do you want to look at multiple? You want to go like last year to this year, you think?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, so we'll do up until present day. I'll just run those. We'll take a second. While that's running, we can get this ready to go. It'll probably take longer for me to load all this data in compared to you guys, just because I'm obviously using more bandwidth. But usually it doesn't take super long. So while that's loading in, I don't know what that is. CRC error. Let's just make sure this is good by just going quick PPP. And okay, things are there. That's fine. That's okay. Okay, so here's what so for this, we'll focus on regular season data, just because that gives us more data points to look at and consider. So we'll do filter. Week is, so the way you have to know how your data is structured whenever you work with stuff, of course. So the way the NFL data is structured, it includes the playoff data, but it has that as like week 18, 19, 20, 21. Wild card, division, championship, Super Bowl. So we want to ignore that. And since it's for both seasons, we only want to look at less than week 17. So we'll do week less than or equal to 17. And there's also going to be a bunch of junk plays. that we also, and so 2017, and we're going to ignore these not available plays just because they'll make the data messy, and we don't want messy data. So now what we want to look at is we want to look at the passers. So so the columns name and ID within the data set are just the passers. Name. So important thing in the name column, this is like J.Allen or Josh Allen. So it's conceivable that you can have multiple quarterbacks with the same with that same naming convention. Do you guys want me to copy and paste this into chat?
Yes, please. It's just kind of tough to read the characters.
Okay. So every time I finish a line, I'll copy and paste that in the chat.
Cool. Thank you.
Okay, and so now what we want to do is now we want to summarize this data like we did before. And to summarize that, we're going to look at two main stats. If you remember from our first meeting, it's EPA, so expected points added. So this is on average how much impact a quarterback has on a given play, in scaled by points adjusted for situation. So we'll do EPA equals mean, or EPA per play, which is underscore equals mean EPA, and we actually don't have to do that. Okay, and we'll also look at their completion percentage over expected, so CPOE, and that should just be mean. Let me double check something. Yep. So this is just pass. So we're going to look at their mean CPOE. So what this does is there is so the CPOE in the data frame, what it is it's some number saying, okay, this pass has X% chance to be completed. So what we do to look at a quarterback's CPOE is we take the average of that. So if a quarterback, so that lets us look at about how much completion percentage they're expected to have over, I'm doing a poor job. Let me re-explain that. So basically, yeah, what the CPOE column is in the background of the package, it calculates how likely a pass is to be completed, and then it looks at whether or not that pass was completed. So then it gets the percent chance over expected that pass was completed. So if a pass had a 60% chance to be completed and the quarterback did complete it, that'd be 40 CPOE. So for a quarterback, we just want to look at their mean CPOE. If that makes sense. If I explained that poorly, please let me know. And if you're struggling reading it right now, I'm going to copy and paste this whole little section when I'm done. And also we want to see what team they're on. So we'll do team equals first pause team. Pause team is possession team. And this first argument just lets us take the first instance of that. We'll also take n dropbacks. So n plays. This allows us to set like a minimum number of plays we want to look at, just so it doesn't look gross. That's just n, where n is the number of rows in the specific group. And n dropbacks is how many passes there were. So the pass variable is a binary 1 or 0 if a play was a pass or not. So if we want to look at how many passes a quarterback threw or how many dropbacks a quarterback had, we just look at some pass. So I'm pretty sure this does include scrambles. It's in the chat. And if we run this real quick, let me just look in the console to see if it's kosher. Let's see, what do we have? So we haven't filtered anything, so things look pretty gross right now. Like we have Amir Abdullah. We don't want Amir Abdullah there. Okay, so this is actually all players right now. So we have Andy Dalton right here, who has 600 dropbacks over this time period, but we also have Amir Abdullah, who's in for 23 plays. Obviously, we do not want Amir Abdullah and Andy Dalton in the same data set. So what we'll do is we'll put another filter on afterwards. We'll look at, say, okay, n dropbacks. So if they have more than, I don't know, 100 dropbacks, this should make our data much more nice. So look at QBs. Here we have Andy Dalton, Aaron Rodgers, Brandon Allen, Hoyer, who was phenomenal last night, and the like. And also, if we look at, since we're looking over multiple seasons, and we have this first argument in here for the team, we'll get things like Cam Newton, who is on the Panthers. So that's just a thing to keep in mind. Oh, also David Blau. Okay, so cool. Now, if we want to look at this whole thing, we can do view QBs. And really, this has all the data we could ever want. Like we have information on every single player who's thrown over 100 passes. There's Joe Burrow. There's Josh Allen. You can see how good they are. Like, great, cool, awesome. This is really boring. And when I look at a table like this, or generally with tables, my eyes just tend to gloss over, and I'm incapable of taking in any of this information. And especially like, oh, look, there's Brandon Allen. He's minus 14 CPOE. Oh, so he's 14% less accurate than he should be. Cool. My eyes are glazed over. Oh, look, there's Russell Wilson. He's 8% CPOE. That's really good. This is a table, so my eyes are glossing over. So what are we going to do? We're going to make a graph. And graphs are pretty. But a quick thing before we make this graph. So in nflfastR, there's a data frame already loaded called Teams Colors Logo. And as we can see down here, it has the logo right here as a PNG from ESPN. It has the logo also from Wikipedia. And then, of course, all the team's colors. Their main one, their secondary, tertiary, quaternary, and of course the team name and the abbreviation to go with it. So if we don't, here, actually so just to show you what it looks like without. So we'll make a really quick visual. So we'll do ggplot like last time, and we'll specify what data we want to use, and we want to use QBs. A little plus, and let's just say we want to make a scatter plot, just something really simple. So what we're going to do, we're going to do geom points. Okay. So what this is going to do, this is going to put a point at every point that we specify. We have to specify the x-axis and the y-axis. So what we do is we do mapping equals AES, x equals, we'll have EPA per play, be the x-axis, and CPOE be the y-axis. And if we run that, and we look over here, make that a little bigger for today. And there we go. It's kind of linear, and we can, so yeah, there's an issue here, of course. We don't know who is who. We don't really have a good sense for what's average, and we have all these outliers over here. So like, who's this guy? I can't tell you. This is obviously an issue. If we want to use this as a tool to, and here, I need to throw this in the chat. So we need to know who's who, right? So what are we going to do? So one way to do this is we can actually do a Geomtext. So, and we can throw their label is, so we covered this last time, but in case you forget, so Geomtext, I'll just throw this in as well. So what Geomtext is, it's the same as GeomPoint. So it'll make a scatter plot, but instead of making points, it's going to have a label, so a string of text that you specify that's in the data frame, and that text that we're specifying is just the name here. So when we run this, okay, that's a little better. We can see who's who, who's where, and that's a little better. And actually, if we want, we can even so we can see Ryan Finley's really bad, Russell Wilson's really good. Cool. Still not great because all these guys in the middle, all their text overlap. We can't read it, and it's still just not. It doesn't have a title. The axes labels don't really make too much sense. So what are we gonna do? So what we're gonna do. Oh, and another cool thing. So the way ggplot works is that there's layers. So you can put multiple geoms on top of each other. So if we take what we had earlier. So geom point. So we just throw in that earlier line I had in the chat. What this means is we can put multiple types of plots on top of each other. So we can have the points and the text. So like here, we have Russell Wilson as text, and we have a point where he is. So we can stack layers on top of each other. And that doesn't really seem too cool right now, but it's really powerful. So this lets you put, okay, I have a bar plot. I'm going to put a logo on that bar plot. And yeah, it's just cool. So what we can do here is we can actually use this library, the ggRepel library that we haven't used yet. So what we can do here is that instead of just having Geomtext and have this issue like we have in the middle where everything kind of overlaps, we can do Geomtext repel. And what this is, here, I'll throw this in the chat. So what this is going to do is this is going to repel the text away from each other. So it's a little easier to read. See? So now now all this stuff in the middle, now we can actually kind of sort of tell who's who. We have a lot of data points in here. So it's it's still pretty hectic, but you can still see who's who. So we can see, okay, Cam Newton is here and he's right there. There's Marcus Mariota, he's right there. There's Devlin Hodges, there's Joe Flacco, there's Nick Foles. Oh, Nick Foles and Joe Flacco are about equivalent, both elite quarterbacks, what we would expect. So this is nice, but of course, we can't really, it's still pretty hard to read. So one issue is that we just have too many names in here, so we can make the filter a little stronger. So at the end of our QBs, where it says filter, and there's issues like right here with Cam Newton and Jeff Driscoll, I can't really tell which is where. That's obviously not great too. So we have a couple of different options here. We can just add a bigger filter. So we take this at the end of our QBs statement, make the filter 200. What this does is now we have a smaller set of quarterbacks. Before we had 50. We check now, we have about 40. And if we run this again, it's a little easier to read, but still hectic. And also, it doesn't have the quarterbacks, the rookie quarterbacks from this year, or the new starters for this year. And that's fine. So what can we do now? What additional steps can we take so people can tell the difference between quarterbacks? Well, one is to add another way that people can differentiate it. So color. So people tend to associate a color with a team. Like I say burgundy, you'll think of the Washington football team. I say green, you'll think of the Eagles. I say purple, you'll think of the Vikings. So adding that can help distinguish between different players. Like we have Matt Ryan and Teddy Bridgewater close to each other. If Teddy Bridgewater he'll be gold in this because he's considered the Saints because we have the first argument. And Matt Ryan, he'll be black or red. We'll be able to tell these apart. But if we look at our data frame, we can't do that. We don't have, that information is not present in our data frame. So what do we do? Well, we remember the team colors logos. We have We have the team name, their nickname, their colors. So what we can do is we can merge these data frames together. And I actually stole this line from earlier. So what this is, it's a, what is it? Basically, we have to, so we're going to do a special type of merge called a left join. So you can imagine basically that we're merging, that we're taking this new data frame, the team colors logos, and we're merging it from the right onto a left data frame. So so this is our QBs, this is our team's colors logos, and we're throwing these together. And here, I'll throw that in chat for you guys. Oh, and this by argument, so the team column in QBs and the team abbreviation and the team's colors logos are the same thing. They're just named different. So we just tell it, oh, by the way, this is what we're merging it on. So we run that again. And now inside of geom_point, we can actually tell it what color to be. Oh, but a quick note, we'll be putting this argument outside of the aesthetics argument. So we have to add a little $sign. It's not too big of a deal. So color equals QBs, $sign. We'll just do team color. Here, I'll throw this in the chat for you guys. And ta-da! And now we can see that we have different colors. It's still kind of hard to read, but it's certainly a good step in the right direction. Because now we see, okay, here's Teddy Bridgewater, he is gold. Here's Matt Ryan, he's red. We can tell the difference between them. We can also tell that David Blau is very, very bad, which is extremely important to know. Okay, so cool. We have all this. We can still do some things to spruce it up a little bit. Like, for example, we can add in lines to see where the averages are. Typically online, how you'll see people do this is what they do is they'll add red dashed lines. Oh yeah, Arjun's Arjun's in the club. He's connected with David Blau on LinkedIn. Sure. Okay, so what if we want to add a horizontal line to denote the average of the average CPOE and a vertical line to denote the average EPA per play? This will just give us a better sense of if a quarterback is better or worse than average, which is typically what we're worried about. So what we can do is we can add another another layer. We can add a horizontal line. And then we can also add and once I'm done with this, I'll throw it in the chat. Also add a vertical line, V line. So this only has one argument. So the H line, the line that goes this way, this line goes across the y-axis. So the H line has a y-intercept. So we need to specify the y-intercept. And that is just the mean QBs, $sign, EPA per play, or CPOE per pass. And the V line, similarly, that goes through the x-axis, so that has an x-intercept. So we have an x-intercept that is the mean EPA per play of the QB's data frame. And I don't think we need it, but just to make sure, I will throw a little na.rm to remove the NA values, because those would be bad. And if we look, oh wait, and we need to specify the color. So we just do color red. And we want to make it dashed. We do line type, or LTY line type equals dashed. That in this one. And ta-da! Here they are. So this is the average for CPOE, and this is the average for EPA per play. So as we can see, Jameis Winston is actually above average in both CPOE and EPA per play, even though he throws 20 million interceptions. So Jameis Winston is above average in spite of the fact he throws so many interceptions. That's a really interesting piece of information. That means that, hey, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world that he throws so many interceptions, or maybe it's okay that he does because he is still productive. But then we see that Dwayne Haskins is far and away the worst currently starting quarterback in this data set. So maybe it's a good idea for the Redskins to try and move on from him. So yeah, that's really simple. I need to take 2 seconds. I need to take my chicken out the oven. So take a second, mess around for a little bit, and I'll be right back.
And something else you guys can do is right under like the last line of code, you can add a plus sign and then do theme underscore BW, and then the 2 parentheses, and like it'll just make the background of the graphic like white and black instead of gray. I don't know, it just makes it easier for me to see if you guys want to try that. And also, if anyone has any questions, feel free to let me know.
Hey, sorry.
Tez, can you say that one more time? It was theme.
Yeah, so do the theme underscore BW. We'll make the background of the graphic white, so like the dots show up pretty easier. Connor, do you want to show them?
Oh yeah. So yeah, you can do theme. There's a couple of built-in. So theme is another argument within ggplot. Basically what it is it lets you specify the colors and sizes of different things on the plot. But theme black white is one of the built-in ones, and we can see what it looks like. Basically, it makes the background white and the edges of this rectangle black. So it makes things show up a little easier. And we're just going to comment this. So plus, I'm going to comment this out for a second. And then I guess we'll leave it. We'll run with it. Also, the plot clearly needs a title, and the axes need to be better than EPA underscore play. So what we can do is we're going to do the labs argument. Labs is short for labels. So we can specify a title. Yeet Skeet is a solid title. Yeet Skeet Dwayne Haskins bad. All right, Haskins. Dwayne Haskins bad. Jameis good. Excellent title. And then we can specify the x-axis as xlab. That's just EPA per play. And then we can specify the y-axis as ylab, and that's just CPOE. I'll throw this in the chat. Oh, you need to throw a plus onto the theme BW. If we run that, oh wait, it's not xlab, it's x-axis. Right? I know better way. So that's how you can set the title. Oh, also you can set a caption, just to say where you get the data from and who made it, so no one steals it from you. So by Connor, data from nflfastR. Here's the updated version. And to actually get the axes going, what I usually do is I just do xlab and specify it at the EPA per play and ylab. If we just run that really quick. So look, now we have the title, Yeet Skeet. We have a y-axis label, that's better. And we have an x-axis label, that's better. And we have a little caption, so we make sure no one steals our stuff. So this is pretty good. This is a solid first visual. And if we want to do, if we want to actually specify, we won't worry about specifying the color itself. Okay, but what if now we want to say, well, we just want to look at one variable. We just want to look at EPA per play. Well, it doesn't really make sense to make a scatter plot for that because we only want to look at one variable. So we'll make another little, so we'll make a different graphic down here. Data equals QBs. So what we'll do is we'll make a bar plot. Because we're only interested in one variable. So what we can do, this is geom bar. There's a geom call. Geom bar. Mapping equals, and we want to see it for each quarterback. So what we can do is we can set, actually we're going to do column. These are interchangeable, except if we want to, there's one little thing that makes geom call a little nicer. So what we want to do, throw this in the chat in a sec. So on the x-axis, we want to have each quarterback. Or on the y-axis, we want to have each quarterback. So that'll just make it easier to read. So dy equals name. And on the x-axis, so how far it is this way, we want to have their EPA per play. Just run that really quickly. I'll throw this in the chat. So here we go. So we have every quarterback. Here's Andy Dalton. There's his EPA per play. And yeah, so this is really good information as well, but it's not very pretty, again. So what do we want to do? Well, we can add the color again. Columns actually have two, and of course, if we wanted to go the other way, so we want to have them go up and the bars go up and down instead, we just flip X and Y. Just to demonstrate this really quickly. See, now it goes up and down, but you can't read the names. And that's a pain in the ass to deal with, so I just usually do it Y and X. Okay, so well, one, they're not arranged in any meaningful order. It looks like in reverse alphabetical order, and that's not super helpful for readability's sake. And again, it just at a glance is just a bunch of gray bars, which is not very interesting. So we can add colors. So columns have two colors arguments. There's color, which is actually the outline of it. So we'll have that be the secondary color, team color 2. And we want to get the inside color. It's fill, because like you fill it with a bucket. QBs, team color. We run that, and I throw that in chat. And now we have the and now we have every team. We have this red and blue one. Okay, that's Tom Brady. We have the Saints color one. Oh, that's Teddy Bridgewater. We have another Saints one. Oh, look, Derek Carr. We have this obnoxiously large red and yellow one. That's Patrick Mahomes. So that's a little more useful. Well, what if we want a little more? What if we want the actual logo? Because sometimes like these two are hard to tell apart. That's Dak and Deshaun Watson. So that's the Texans. That's the Colts. Not Colts, Cowboys. But again, still pretty hard to tell apart. So let's add the logo. Well, how do we do that? Well, we do geom image. This comes with the ggimage package. That's why we loaded that in earlier. So we do the same. So we have the same mapping as we had earlier. So y equals name, x equals EPA per play. Yeah, and then image equals, I think it's logo I think it's ESPN logo. What is it again? Actually, then teams logos. It is team logo ESPN. Team logo ESPN. Put that in chat. All right, and if we run that, now we'll actually have the logos. It'll take a moment. But if you run this yourself, you'll see that the logos will actually be at the end of every single bar, which is very nice. See, so we have the logos at the end of every bar. So we can easily tell, okay, that's Nick Foles, that's Mitchell Trubisky, that's Dak, that's Deshaun. But if we actually have an issue here with the logos, they're really grainy and kind of gross looking. So we have to specify the aspect ratio. How do we do that? Aspect ratio, that's just the length of one side to another for some image file. So that's just ASP equals 16/9. That's 16:9 aspect ratio. That works for the logos and most images that you do. We do that, and we'll have pretty logos now. Once it loads. So yeah. So now the logos are nicer size. And if you were to save this using ggsave, the logos would look prettier. That's just because this box is a weird size. But trust me that when you save them and use them for things, they are actually prettier. Okay, but we still want them in descending order. So you want the biggest one up top and the one that's most negative at the bottom, because that just looks cleaner, right? So what can we do? Well, we can do two things. We can arrange it up here, or we can arrange it down here. I just find it easier to arrange up here. So what do? We do the arrange argument. Put it in descending order, EPA per play. And if you want to do it like that, we'll throw it in the chat up here. If we want to do it in another order, another way, and this is just easiest. IMO. There's another way, but you have to specify it down here, and that just gets kind of gross. So we do. So now that we've arranged it properly, we'll see that it's in a nice descending order. Or it was supposed to be. Not sure.
Connor, I don't think you ran it when you changed to descending.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. I'm an idiot. Okay, that's an issue. So I think there's a, oh wait, it's like this. So what you have to do, arrange name. So we're arranging name. So when you do the argument in here, so when you do the arrange function here, what it'll do is it'll arrange the first value by the second value. And the minus means descending. So we're going to arrange it by descending EPA per play value. So the biggest one will be up top and the smallest one will be at the bottom. And just to make sure things line up, we're also going to throw that into right here. And here, just for posterity's sake, I'll throw this in the chat. And oh shit. Error in use message. That's not. Paige, do you know how to do what I'm trying to do?
I'm looking at your code right now. Yeah, I've always just done it where I arranged it descending like you did in the data frame.
Yeah.
Did you print the QB's data frame to see what it looked like?
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's so weird.
I'm not quite sure why that's not working. Yeah, I'll send something out in the group me. Or if you're watching,
you could do the reorder. Have you ever used like the reorder function?
No, I think that's what I was
the-
actually trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll try this really quick because I have to go soon. Sorry about this, guys. If you're watching the recording, I'll put the fix in the description. Otherwise, I'll just send it to GroupMe. Reorder. Is that it? I just threw it in the chat too. Oh yeah, there we go. It's in the opposite order we want, so we take away that minus, it'll work. Let's see, now it's in a much more aesthetically pleasing. Nice little that. So yeah, and of course, all the theme and label stuff that we did up here, we can also do down here. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do that because I have to go. Live debugging, yeah. Okay, so here, I'm going to stop screen share.